All right, so this is one of the lab from chapter 2. This is not a packet tracer lab. This is the lab that you do with actual devices. Okay, so if you're in a lab, those of you who did the lab last week, so you need 2 switches and 2 PCs. Okay, so in packet tracer, the first thing you do is you place your devices. So these are S1 and S2 2 switches, and read the instruction. In the final exam, the instruction will be similar. The final exam will be similar to like this. Will be similar to this, meaning the layout. Okay, so you have to gather your devices, read the instruction. So here they tell you the models, very important, because different device has different physical characteristic. If you choose the wrong device, maybe the you won't be able to do the lab. Okay, so very important, whenever you're doing the lab, read the instructions about what type of devices you will use in this lab. So in this case, it's 6 Cisco 2960 switches. Okay, so what we need 2 Cisco 2960 switches. So here you click on the switches, and here you have 2960 switches. So 1 and 2. Okay, so you have 2 switches, and then you have 2 end devices. Okay, 2 PCs, Windows 7 or Windows 8 with terminal emulation program. So this is in the real lab. When we go to the lab, we have computers, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10 with the terminal emulation program. And what we use is TeraTerm. There are other terminal emulation program as well, but what we use is TeraTerm. So here in this case, you just use 2 end devices, 2 PCs, okay, and console cables to configure the Cisco iOS devices. We have the console ports. Okay, so you need to connect the PC to the console port. Again, when you purchase a switch without any configuration, you have to physically connect to it. So the console port is here. You click on connection. The blue one is the console. RS-32 is the interface on your computer. It's a serial port. Okay, so console is always connect to the serial port on the computer. Don't try to connect to USB or fast Ethernet. So RS-32 to the console port on the switch. Do the same thing here. Now, these solid line, you should know, I don't know, these solid line represent a straight copper straight through cable, Ethernet cable. Okay, and this one is crossover cable. Okay, so if the topology, if you see the solid line, the solid line like this, that means you have to use a straight through cable to connect the devices. So click this. Every lab, you have to follow the instructions. So here S1 is connected to F01, and then it's connected to switch 2's F01. And PCs are connected to, F06 to the fast Ethernet port. All right, and also you can name your devices. Here you can click config, and here you can name it to S1. Sorry, S1.
The PC,
Yes.
the PC one here was supposed to be F018.
PC1 is what?
Supposed to be F018.
Oh, okay. And what did I do?
06 there.
Oh, okay. So don't do this, okay? What I did, follow the instruction F018, put it on F018. Anyway, I can change it. It's okay. Anyway, so this is how you can change it. F018. Thank you, Kosi. All right. So, okay. So you can change the name of the device as well here. Config S2 here. Config is PC-A. So this is what you have to do in the final exam. Oh, PC-B. So that's it. This, you see, it exactly look like this, our topology now. And then you proceed to configuring it. It's exact. You will see, those of you who have already been in the lab, or those of you who will do the lab, it's how similar it is. Okay. So first, set up the network topology, power the devices. Remember, this lab is for actual devices. To do this lab is designed to use actual computer and devices. So you will see some difference. So configure PC host. Now configure static IP address information on the PCs. So when you're doing this lab, in the lab, this is how you configure your IP addresses. You go to the control panel or whatever, right click on network icon, and this is the instruction. So they give you the instruction how to assign an IP address on a computer. Now, if you're doing this lab on a packet tracer, how do you assign an IP address? Can somebody tell me? How do I assign an IP address to the PC?
Double click the PC.
Okay.
Go to desktop.
Go to desktop.
IP configuration.
Excellent. That's it. So this is how you're going to assign. So don't get confused when you're doing this lab. So this is just the version, the real version of packet tracer. Okay. So this is how you assign the IP addresses. Perfect. And you just type in the IP address, and later on you will configure Cisco as a DHCP server. So it's, you see, this is right now, this address is the Windows generated address because there's no DHCP server. But later on, when you configure Cisco router as a DHCP server, it will get an IP address from the DHCP or static. Excellent. So this part, you're gonna do this. And here, the Windows, anything that you wanna, if you wanna look at your IP address, if you wanna ping, you click on the computer, right? And you click the command prompt. And the command prompt is just like Windows command prompt. What else is here? Okay, how do you access the router? So this is how you check your IP addresses or ping. Okay, configure and verify basic switch settings. Okay, using TeraTerm, establish a console connection to the switch from PC-A. So in real lab, you open a program called TeraTerm. and you access your device through that program. In Packet Tracer, you click on the PC and there's a terminal emulation program. Okay, click on this, accept the default configuration. Okay, don't change anything. Click OK. Now you are into the switch. Enable config T hostname S1, and that's it. This is exactly looks like when you're working with real devices. Enter local passwords, banner MOTD, all this command. Sometime, okay, don't get confused. Sometime your output on a Packet Tracer will not exactly the same as this one, but don't worry about it. Just make sure your host name, whatever you configure, is the same. Okay. Display iOS version. It's very important to know. So show, as you can see, it's very similar to the real devices. So it's an excellent program to practice. Those of you whose ambitious is to become a CCNA or network engineer, this program is going to help you to practice. All right, so this is how you do the lab that is designed for actual devices on a Packet Tracer.